So pretty much everyone in the Warframe community will have a Warframe that they dislike, or a Warframe that they like the least out of all of our Warframes, or even a Warframe that, for whatever reason, will be at the bottom of their most used list. For me, that Warframe was of course Hydroid. Shock horror. It's well known on my channel just how I felt about this tentacle monster, but all of that of course has changed, and this video is the result of what I've learned from leveling a lot of Hydroids. So here we go, as requested, the 101 review of Hydroid. Of course, this is not a troll. I have never liked his appearance. You can call him fat, you can call him thick, hell, you can even call him extra thick. I just don't like it. Now, according to the developers, originally Hydroid was based off Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean, or Paradise, but he felt more like some kind of Avatar-styled waterbender, not a pirate lord, and honestly the idea of sitting in a puddle for a very long period of time in a mission just wasn't for me. So I became very narrow-minded when I was looking at Hydroid, and I started to focus on that one ability that I didn't like, not all of them together like I should have. And honestly, in this community, we all probably do that way too much with our Warframes. We see them as having one or two useful abilities, and then we automatically discard the rest and say that Warframe may be shit because they've only got one good ability. Now, my reasons for disliking Hydroid led me to honestly not give him the proper time that he deserved. I dismissed him. That's my failing as a content creator, my error, and following his rework, I will admit I was completely wrong about Hydroid. He is an incredibly good Warframe, no joke, and I'm not talking about sitting in a puddle for hours on end. I'm talking about all of his abilities and how well they synergize with one another. This kind of feels like I'm at some kind of tentacle addiction meeting, doesn't it? Hi, my name's John.
Hi, John.
And I too have failed our Lord of the Deep.
Dude, get the fuck out.
It has been 33 days since my last hentai reach around. It's either that or this video is just plain Stockholm Syndrome. Please take my word for it, he's good. Don't send me any more Hydroid fucking items. But it's not that. In a crazy about way, it took all of you and of course Digital Extremes trolling me with Hydroids as gifts for me to give him the proper playtime he deserved, which in a way I'm kind of a little bit ashamed about. Now, Hydroid may not be very pleasing to look at, which I still don't think he is, and if you choose to play him for just the puddle playstyle, then it will be boring. Unless of course you're watching stuff on Netflix, then of course it's acceptable. But if you can see past the whole puddle mentality, if you can combine all of his abilities while running around in a mission, then you won't be able to deny just how effective this Warframe can be and how well all of those abilities synergize with one another. He's really good at crowd control, at creating choke points, at removing threats from the battlefield, at getting you loot, at stripping enemy armor, at mobility to either get you into or out of action as quick as possible, at grouping enemies up against a wall while you wail on them with your melee weapon. In fact, I found him to be an incredibly melee friendly Warframe. His only real downsides for me, apart from being extra thick, is that his tentacles don't deal more damage and probably function better as crowd control at higher levels. It is his ultimate ability and it's supposed to be a monster from the deep, but Puddle performs better at killing, so it would be nice to have it deal a wee bit more damage. Now, tentacles also still ragdoll enemies a bit too much, which is a pain in the arse when trying to shoot them with anything that's not an explosive weapon with a large kind of radius. So how did I go about utilising all of these abilities while I was levelling all of these 101 Hydroids? Now, his Tempest Barrage ability has a great knockdown effect on groups of enemies, and depending on whether you choose to charge it up or insta-cast it, of course this will decide how effective this ability will be. With the corroding augment, it can strip enemy armor pretty fast, and of course Tempest Barrage can also destroy a nullifier's bubble with a few hits, which is probably my favourite way of using Tempest Barrage. So I've been using this on survivals as a choke point ability in narrow hallways or even in doorways to crowd control enemies as they come through that doorway. I've also been casting it in the direction of nullifiers to bring their bubble down, making it easier to eventually kill what would have been hiding safe inside that bubble. Of course, Corroding Barrage combined with his puddle will destroy everything inside that puddle in the blink of an eye, so it can be used to that effect. Basically dive into a group of enemies, cast puddle, cast Tempest Barrage with the augment on it, and kill everything all before moving on to the next group. That's really the only way that I've been using Hydroids Puddle, as a way to remove certain units from the battlefield. Xmas units, napalm units, bombards, gunners and so on. I jump into the puddle, get rid of them, jump back out and go about killing again. I don't sit still. His Tidal Surge ability is amazing at grouping up enemies. I've been using it as a way to smash targets against a wall and then kill them with my melee weapon while they're still on the ground trying to get up. Also a really great way to take out heavy units. On the flip side of things though, with Tidal Surge, when you round a corner and run face first into a group, say consisting of a nullifier, bombard, gunner and a healer inside that bubble, it is the perfect time to turn, hit Tidal Surge and dash right out of danger, regroup if you will. Tidal Surge, while out on the plains of Eidolon, is also great for mobility. Now his big bad monster from the deep, his Tentacle Swarm, I've been using as a second choke point ability on the larger groups. So if I'm in a room and I know enemies are spawning in 2 or 3 different directions, I will cast Tempest Barrage in one direction and then Tentacle Swarm in the direction of the larger group due to the size of its radius when fully charged. But I only use both of those abilities when I truly need to. Let's be honest, most times you're in one of these rooms on a tile set in Warframe, you know where enemies are spawning from, so you can kind of preemptively cast your ability and then you will see the damage numbers and you will know there's a large group of enemies coming in that direction. So his crowd control can shut down a very large area on a mission with 2 of his abilities, leaving you and your squad to go to work cleaning up all of the remaining enemies. So there are a few of the things I've noticed about using Hydroid since I started leveling all of those and how I went about utilising his abilities. He isn't exactly the most fragile frame in the game either. He has got 200 base armour, which isn't too bad. If you stick steel fibre on there, I think it brings him over 500 armour. If you like, you could be a little bit tankier. But with the amount of crowd control that Hydroid has, that's entirely up to you. So Hydroid is a good Warframe. He can get a lot of work done and he can be very good in squad gameplay as well. This is not a troll video. So when I was leveling him and running around with all of the Hydroids, I decided to not stick to the 2 kind of useful builds that everyone runs with, which is basically the puddle mode and the pilfering Hydroid mode. I wanted to play him with all of his abilities in mind and see just how much fun I could have with this Warframe. Let's be honest, fun is the most important thing when playing any kind of a computer game, and it should be with Warframe as well. So at the minute, these are my 3 different builds that I have on my Hydroid Prime. The first one, of course, is the build that I used for this footage, and what I was looking for with this build was mainly just duration range with a small bit of efficiency on there as well. I wanted it more for crowd control and duration to keep my corroding barrage up on enemies as long as I possibly could for those choke points. So I wasn't really running for a pilfering droid or even for just that puddle mode, it was just for duration and range. Now my second configuration of course is for that pilfering swarm, for that augment to get you more loot, and for this one I wanted a little bit more power strength in order to try and get your tentacles to actually kill enemies as quick as possible to give you the chance of getting extra loot. I also wanted a small bit of efficiency. Now I decided to stay at 100% range just to try and keep everything as close together as possible. Now my final build of course is the Netflix and puddle build. Honestly, I'm probably never ever going to use this, but I guess if you wanted to, a decent amount of efficiency and duration to keep your energy drain as minimal as possible, as well as having a little bit of power strength and a little bit of range, so basically just balance it up. Of course, if you're going to run this build, then tweak it to suit your playstyle. Once you're having fun, who gives a fuck, right? So do yourself a favour, give your least liked Warframe a proper try. Stop bullshitting, jump in, see how well or how effective this Warframe can actually be when you put your mind to it and decide to ignore what everyone else says and just see for yourself. You might be surprised. Maybe Limbo is the perfect Warframe for you. Maybe Loki is good for more than just hide and seek. Maybe Netza or Naja is more than just a trap. Who knows? Maybe Ash actually takes skill. Maybe Chroma isn't just an ugly Warframe. But the most important thing is to have fun, okay? Stop focusing on 1 or 2 abilities like I did with Hydroid, because it was a massive failing on my part. Do me a huge favour, let me know how you get on in the comment section below if you choose to do that. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, or don't if you didn't. Subscribe for more Warframe, and as always, thanks very much for watching.